Thank you so much. Now, to conclude our debate, I give the floor to Vice President of the European Commission, Maroš ŠEFČOVIČ. You've got the floor.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. Honourable members, I would like to thank all of you for your interventions, which very clearly reflected the sense of urgency and worries citizens you represent, and which citizens feel over energy supplies, cost of living crisis, and war in Ukraine. Indeed, as Mr. Mureșanu, Madam Garcia Perez, but also many others underline, we are going through unprecedented multi-layer crisis. It's tough on our people, it's tough on our businesses, and it's tough on our industry. But it's also very important to underscore that we've been working very hard to address all the challenges honourable members highlighted in this debate. We filled our gas storages, we saved a lot of energy this year, and we managed to get the prices of gas down. On top of it, we are learning fast from this crisis. We are already now working for the next winter to make sure that we would act in solidarity and unity, and that we would proceed, as it was underlined by many, the last of the speakers referring to was Mr. Nika, that we would make sure that we would use our economic power, our economic weight, and will purchase the part of our gas supplies together through the European energy platform. Today, we proposed ways how to further accelerate the build-up of renewables. Exactly what Madam Rentke was calling for, so we can leapfrog and make sure that more and more energy we will use in Europe will not only be clean, but it will be getting from genuinely our indigenous European sources, because wind and solar is our energy. I would like to reassure all the honourable members, Madam Šojdrová, Mr. Moreno Sanchez and others, that we work very hard on different options which have been discussed by European Council, including new electricity market design, where we want to decouple gas from electricity pricing. This morning we adopted communication on fertilizers, and in the same way we are assessing all the options available to us to get a grip over current energy prices. Several of you have been calling upon all of us to learn from the last crisis, especially from the financial one. And I just would like to inform you that we did. After the COVID-19 crisis, thanks to your help and your insistence, we introduced Next Generation Europe mechanism to overcome potential problems with financial liquidity, but also to modernize our economies and to modernize our member states. And as Mr. Ob was calling for, we are also working very hard, and you will be debating it today, tomorrow. The trilogues will start on very important measure, Repower EU, which would help us to direct more financial sources to help vulnerable households, to help SMEs, and to create more fiscal space for our member states to provide necessary state aid for energy-intensive industry. Another lessons learned is reflected in our today's communication for a reformed EU economic governance framework, which we debated and adopted this morning, and I'm sure that you will have in-depth discussion about it with my colleagues, Vice President Dombrovskis and Commissioner Gentiloni. You would recall that President von der Leyen was calling for both sense of urgency and strategic foresight. And indeed, based on strategic foresight, we are undertaking very tangible, concrete steps to avoid our dependency on supply of critical raw materials from China and to further strengthen open strategic autonomy of European Union. Mr. President, if you allow me to conclude on the remarks made by Mr. Pedro Marques, because he was rightly highlighting the important aspects of our assistance to Ukraine. Since the start of Russian invasion of Ukraine, we stood by Ukraine. I was here with you when we had this very emotional address of President Zelensky via video link when he was talking to all of us. But we not only stood by Ukraine, we've been helping them in a very concrete manner by almost 20 billion euros in micro-financial assistance, by more than 3 billion euros if it comes to the supply of weaponry. And we did it despite very difficult current economic circumstances. But to make sure that we would bring additional clarity, additional predictability to Ukraine and Ukrainians, we adopted today the proposal half in regular tranches. We would help Ukraine throughout the next year in a realm of 18.8 billion euros. And not only that, we are appealing to other international donors to match our example, to help them in the same way as we Europeans do, because this is what Ukrainian people need to defend their country. Mr. President, thank you very much for giving me the floor, and I would like to thank all honourable members for stressing how important and how urgent all the steps we are undertaking in the field of tackling the current crisis are. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. With this intervention, our debate is concluded. We will move on to